You are watching on twitch.tv something Broncos broadcast, special broadcast, following the 2020 NFL draft. I am Jess Place, joined by Tim Lynch and Lori Lattimore Volkman. Today, something Broncos does have a sponsor. We're brought to you by the little velvety Scrabble bag, full of letters, from which all of the Denver Broncos draft picks names were pulled. Because if you would have a harder time pronouncing some of these names if you had just dumped out a Scrabble bag and just randomly picked some of them out. But that's okay because I think the Denver Broncos did pretty well. I'm really happy with the Denver Broncos draft. I'm kind of excited about it. And if there is a season, which I really hope, I think the Denver Broncos are going to look pretty stinking good. What do you guys think? Lori, what do you think about the draft?
13-3, baby. Here we
Oh my
go.
God. Until we ain't.
Hey, 16-0 for that matter.
Right?
Yeah,
Why
I'm
not?
excited. I'm excited about the draft. We got really, really good athletes, which is something we know John Elway always likes because good athletes can be coached to be good players. We also got some guys that we know really play their positions quite well. But the best thing, in my opinion, is we got really good players at some very key positions. So luckily, best player available also fit really well with team needs.
Yeah, and there was a next gen. Actually, I'll pull it up right here. Next gen stats on the draft, and the Broncos, they pulled out the 5 teams that prioritized their draft selections on athleticism and production throughout the draft, and they gave them an overall score based on that model that they have. And the Broncos were number one at 77, 2 spots ahead of the Colts at 75, and then they had the Ravens, Titans, and Steelers all tied at 74. But Elway went in looking for athletes who produced, and I'm pretty excited. The first 2 picks, like Jerry Jeudy, we spent what 3 months talking about wide receivers. Basically, it got to a point where none of us wanted to blog anymore because the only thing we had to talk about was stuff we already talked about. The same three
And the
guys.
only thing we were talking about was Henry Ruggs. That's all anybody seemed to mock to the Broncos until like 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah,
And
Jerry
Jerry
Jeudy.
Judy's name came up once.
Woody Page, I think, called that one. But you start watching his tape, and he's just, gosh, he's an ankle breaker. I can't wait to see what he can do in the NFL. There's some concerns about his smaller frame, but I mean, guys can excel with smaller frames in the NFL. You look at Emmanuel Sanders, another Bronco in the past, Eddie Royal, had a pretty good couple of seasons, but he's bigger than both, heavier, um, and he's the type that can. He's a burner too, and when he gets going, he can just stop like on a dime, and guys are just falling down trying to stop with him, and he just trots into the end zone. You see so many big plays that he makes like that, and it's a very exciting. Um, a lot of fans were pretty upset about the second round pick, but I assume everybody loves the first round pick. Do you guys love that too?
Oh yeah. I mean, like I was saying, we knew we were going to go for a wide receiver, and I think nobody thought the Broncos would be in range for one of the top two. By number 15, we're going to have to move up if we wanted to get Judy or CeeDee Lamb. And as it turned out, Elway didn't have to move anywhere. He didn't have to give up any draft capital, and we got arguably the best or one of the top two wide receivers in the whole class. So I think it was a steal myself.
I think we're losing Jess.
Just as kids have to get off YouTube.
His facial expressions are killing me.
So you mentioned the second round. I personally was a little surprised by it. I thought it was a little odd to spend the second pick on a wide receiver again. But I think it was Jeff who made this point. The thing is, we knew that by the time we got to 77, we were out of that like depth of wide receiver. So we knew that if we were going to get another really good wide receiver, and we wanted to, we had to do it at that 46 spot. And then, we got really lucky, really, in the third round. We didn't even have to take Cushionberry, who many people thought we were going to take in the second round. We took him as our third rounder. So Elway was a kind of a chess master, I thought, this time.
Yeah, and I know when they picked the cornerback out of Iowa, Michael, Lori, this is.
Ojemudia.
Thank you. Um, a lot of people were like, who? And not who, but like, wow, like way early. And I know a couple of our draft guys were just floored by that and not too excited about it. Um, and I know Scotty, once he started digging into a post he wrote, kind of going over why the Broncos picked him, he pointed out some interesting things that he's actually a perfect scheme fit for Vic Fangio's style of defense and coverage at the outside cornerback position. So while he may not have been the best, talent on the board, he may have been the best scheme fit on the board, and maybe everybody after him would not have been a guy that Fangio would be interested in starting at any time soon. So I get why they might have jumped the gun to get him reached a little bit, because they do need an outside boundary corner. And after Scotty was kind of going over his film and looking at what he does, what he's good at, he grew from disappointed with the pick to excited about it. So, a lot of times you have to really look at how they fit with the Broncos to kind of truly analyze the pick and understand where the Broncos were coming from.
I think that's a really important point, because as fans, especially, unless you're a real film guru, you can look at some tape and go, yeah, that guy's really good. And you listen to all of the pundits talk about the top cornerbacks and the top tight ends and the top wide receivers and the top yada, yada, yada. And you start thinking that those are the only good ones to get. But scheme fit is far more important than getting the very best cornerback in the draft. Maybe the very best cornerback is a great scheme fit, and maybe you can get him, and that's great. But more importantly, when there's a whole bunch of cornerbacks to look at and it comes to your turn to pick, which one does your coach think is going to be the best one for your scheme? And it seemed to me, if you were watching the draft, the Broncos had their picks in so quickly. Like, they weren't sitting around trying to decide who do we want. Like, they already knew. They already had their board set, and the players they wanted were there, and they went and they just called those in right away. Like,
they let the draft come to them. That's kind of nice. Like,
but the draft came to them
around.
But the draft came to them that they wanted too. I mean, that's like, you can let the draft come to you, and you're like just kind of picking a player that you hope is good. Elway sounded like, these were players they actually had on their board that they were looking for. And as soon as it was their turn on the clock, their pick was in like in 2 minutes. They were never waiting around deciding.
We said that multiple times, in staff chat and just in general, that the board just kept falling perfectly for what Denver wanted to do. The KJ Hamler pick was a bit of a curveball, but really that was kind of perfect too, because they were mocked all offseason long for Henry Ruggs, right? Speedster who can stretch the field. But it came out 2 weeks ago that Jerry Jeudy was possibly at the top of their board, not Henry Ruggs. So for Jerry Jeudy to fall to them at 15, and then for them to pick up, a guy who has questionable hands, everybody knows that, but that's something you can potentially work on. You can't work on his athletic ability, his God-given talent. Yeah, it's just for him to fall to 2, and now you got a guy who can stress the defense every which way possible, and you got Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy on the outside. I mean,
you're broadcasting from a very high traffic area. Well,
Thank you.
I spoke to a good friend of mine who is a huge Alabama fan, and I was like, all right, so if you had your choice between Ruggs or Judy, which one would you take? And she didn't even equivocate. She was like Jerry Judy all the way. Like he's more rugged, he's more durable. She liked his hands better. Ruggs may be fast, but Judy is kind of like the longer term projection for success. That's what she said, and so she knows her football. I mean, watched a lot of Alabama victories. Bless her heart for having to suffer through all that. Um, but
I- Is
but
she a
yeah,
Patriots fan too?
nope, nope,
Oh,
just
okay.
straight up Alabama. Not really a big fan of the pro game, but
I've
you know,
noticed that. I'm not a big fan of college football, and I've noticed people who are tend to not really be all that big of NFL fans. So it's weird.
I knew that she was legit when I was talking about the fumble and I mentioned Jeremiah Castile and she's like, "Oh, he went to Bama." And I was like, "Are you kidding? Like, how did you know that?" Like, so she is very well steeped in football culture and all that. So I definitely trust her recommendation.
Well, we've
Um,
often said, I mean, I think we have. I know I have. Speed is great. It is, and it's always clearly it's something we all pay attention to. It's the reason they run the 40. But you can also sprint your ass down the field and not be able to catch the ball also. So it's not just being fast. You have to be fast in a certain way. And I feel like quickness is a better judge of really how good you are. And Tim's point about Judy's ability to stop on a dime, turn and make that catch and kind of bluff with the D back is as much a bigger deal as just being fast and running down the field and kind of out sprinting your your defender.
Well,
well, you just summed up the problem with every Raiders draft since 1983.
Exactly. Exactly.
Darius
Exactly.
Hayward Bay would agree with you.
and the thing is KJ Hamler, he's that guy. If you get him in space on a quick out screen pass or whatever, if the blocking's good, he's freaking gone. you know. And then if they cover that and it's covered, well, you got Jerry Judy, Cortland Sutton, and Noah Fant running around out there somewhere. If you Drew Lock, if you can't find somebody open in this offense, we're
You might be a Denver Bronco
okay.
quarterback.
No, so which brings up a good point. That's clearly where they were going. Rather than just feeling like they needed to protect him to give him time, they're getting guys who are quick and can get into their space quick because they know Drew Lock has the potential to make that decision pretty quick. So we're gonna roll with this O line and try and fix it over time, but we're not going into the first round and making sure we get the best tackle because we're just getting guys that we already know Drew Lock will have potential to get to.
When
I,
you go
I
into a
am a little
draft,
nervous. Go ahead. Go ahead, Tim.
well, I'm just saying if you go into a draft saying I need this position regardless, first round, you end up with a guy like Garrett Bowles in 2017. If you go
Right.
into the draft saying, look, we need a tackle, but we're not gonna deviate from our board, and you end up with three straight consecutive classes that I think you're building a winner. Maybe I don't know if they'll win Super Bowls, but they're going to win games with these. They've completely redone the whole offense. Look at the starting in 2018 to now, the only holdover is Garrett Bowles. You've got
Well, that's a relief.
well, Rome wasn't rebuilt in a day, Jess. But let's list the names. We got Drew Lock, Cortland Sutton, Philip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon, Noah Fant, Dalton Reisner, Lloyd Cushenberry, Graham Glasgow, and then you got two concerns. You got Juwan James' health on the right side, and you have Garrett Bowles holding down, very strongly holding down the left tackle position. But
With
on
both
the
hands.
whole, I mean, how can you not be excited about everything Elway's done in the last 3 years? So if it takes another year to figure out the tackle situation, just be patient. Elway's plan is working, as far as I'm concerned. So let's just move forward with it. Um, the only real concern is the defense is starting to age, you know, and Bradley Chubb's coming off his third ACL injury in his lifetime, and Von Miller's approaching 30.
You're taking this down a very dark
Yeah, I
road,
was just gonna
Tim. We
say.
just drafted very well, and now you're like, oh, and
We
everyone's
got a
getting old.
big picture,
And
30,000
and
foot
Greek
view.
has been a trainer since 1976. You know, like I mean, let's look at the positives,
But you
and
can
the negatives
only
will make
I just,
themselves evident as we go
you
forward.
I was
you can
super
only
positive.
put the pieces together like so much at one time. So right now, Elway is putting together an offense that is actually quite young and going to be good for a while. And there are still those tackle positions to fill in, but everybody else
We're
is
set.
basically young and with a really high ceiling. So you're good there. And then defense, yeah, defense is getting a little older, but you still have some of the best people at their positions of those older guys and some really strong young guys coming up. So next year will probably be a year you have to address more on defense. It's the way it goes. You can't do it all at once. You just said that. You can't
I
build
know.
Rome in a day.
Well, Jess kind of interrupted me and didn't let me finish my thought.
Well,
But
you were bumming me out, dude.
what I was trying to get to was that on the flip side, the positive is Elway put a guy like Vic Fangio in charge, who everywhere he's gone, he's built strong defenses. And, you have to kind of trust that the guys that they got late, the Michael O's and the McTelvin A's, um, the Justin
A
S's, and
gene.
those guys. I really like McTelvin. I think he could be kind of like a Malik Jackson type, a late round just beast. So I'm really excited about him.
I'm really
Um,
hopeful that you're right because he has a. Are you okay, Tim? He
uh,
has a.
it's not COVID. We're
I
good.
thought you were angry at me for interrupting, and then I realized you were having some sort of coughing infarction. So, um, I really am hopeful that McTelvin is very good for a very long time because I think his name of everybody that we drafted lends itself to nicknames. A Big Mac, maybe. I don't know. I think there's a lot that we can do with his name.
McSack.
McSack.
Sack. Ooh.
You got a McSack of McDelvin on your face. So yeah, I'm
No,
hopeful.
I'm excited. You just the thing is I have to trust Fangio knows what he's doing, and his history would suggest that that trust is well placed. So I'm just saying the defense is aging, but at the same time we have to, hopefully we're heading in the right direction there.
Well, remember last year we were all a little bit concerned that we didn't go after a linebacker because we thought that was the key to Fangio's
Charging battery.
defense.
Oh,
Mic on.
Todd Davis is better than people give him credit for.
When he's
That was
healthy.
my point. So as it turns out, Fangio recognized that Todd Davis was quite good for what he needed, and then we ended up with. I mean, it took a little while for them to get to this point, but it was Jeremy Atichu, right?
Jeremiah,
Jeremiah, well, right.
Kaushu.
And
Malik Reed,
Yes,
yeah,
Malik
like
Reed.
we ended up with some really strong guys in there who were
Devontae
unknowns.
Bosby, yeah.
So I think you're right, and you sort of answered your own question. Trusting Fangio there to kind of know what he has and know what he can get out of the people he has seen is should be good enough for a little while longer because he
Yeah,
already
even
proved us wrong.
I'm just going through the names. You got, Mike Purcell, Alexander Johnson. All these guys just came from nowhere and they're good. So you just got to trust that he knows what he's doing there. But at some point, they're going to have to start paying attention to defense again, especially at corner. AJ Bouye is almost the same age as Chris Harris. So, that cliff could be, not far away either.
Precipitative. Yeah.
Kareem Jackson is also 30 or
That too.
31.
Yeah. And we lost Will Parks is going to hurt because I don't think they really found anybody that's going to fill his role. And he was an underrated part of the defense, especially against teams that spread things out because you got to play the dime more and get more
He
defensive backs
played
out
every
there.
position on that
In
in that
yeah,
defensive back room.
he played linebacker in some formations. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting low key kind of underrated concern. But it's Fangio, man. I mean, LA couldn't have hired a better head coach to rebuild an offense around because the
And
defense is going to be fine.
And
Hopefully.
also, I really liked when they interviewed Fangio, his approach to picking, to helping pick the offensive players was, is this guy going to be hard to defend? And so he was totally on board with Judy and Hamler because those were not, again, not just fast, but hard to get. They're shifty, they're quick, they're getting lots of yards after the catch. So they're the kind of players that when Fangio looks at him, he recognizes that's a player that would be hard to defend. So that's a player I want on my team.
Yeah, and then kind of to round out day 3, they went and got Drew Lock's old former tight end. He's going to be a developmental project.
How do you say his name?
Albert O.
Alberto.
Albert.
He's the new Big
It's
Al.
Okuabanam.
There. Oh, Lori is on that. Damn.
I know, I practiced.
I don't even want to try. I'll just embarrass
Okuabanam.
myself. But he's not. No offense, a starter, but what you're looking for is you're looking for somebody who has similar skill sets to Noah Fant, because you never know what's going to happen in a 16 or 17 game season. And having somebody that Drew Lock already is familiar with, I like the pick. It may be a little early, but whatever. But I mean,
It's the fourth round. I mean,
yeah.
I think all
Julius
of day
Thomas was a 4th rounder.
you're hoping you get good guys, and picking a guy that your quarterback loves to throw to isn't a bad choice.
So, okay, here's my question to you two. Who should be worried? Like you see who is drafted. Who might be on the outs come training camp?
Well,
Jake Butt.
every tight end with a knee problem right now.
Oh, poor Jake. But I saw him trying to sell furniture on Twitter. Is that right? He was like, anyone who needs furniture, hit me up, DM me. It's like, are you what?
Maybe he's
What are you
moving.
doing?
Maybe he's selling his stuff.
He might be
Maybe-
selling his stuff.
He's like, I keep hitting my knees on the coffee
Oh
table.
my
Someone
gosh,
take this
dude.
away.
Terrible,
No,
that was
is
terrible.
that inappropriate? I
Yeah.
apologize.
It was just a bad joke.
It was
Terrible
terrible.
joke.
I'm sorry,
I think
Jake, but
I think Jeff Heuerman might be safe, though he might be on the way out, just not this year. But I don't know.
Yeah.
You still got Andrew Beck. You got this guy that Nick Vanette I don't know.
Vanette.
Vanette.
Yeah.
So maybe he's out too. I don't. And plus, I'll tell you who I really liked last offseason before he tore his ACL.
Austin Fort.
Yeah, he was lighting things up. I was like, this guy's good. And then he gets injured, and then it's unfortunate, but I wouldn't count him out because he's practice squad eligible. But the tight end
One
room,
thing that's very clear is that Pat Shurmur values tight ends. Like
not
it's
as much
very
as the
clear.
Bears, but yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Oh my God.
they don't have double-digit tight ends, but they're close. And that's kind of refreshing because we've had trouble with the tight end. We haven't been utilizing the tight ends up until
Which because
we got
half the
Noah Fant
time they
last year.
haven't been healthy enough to utilize.
And
too.
they
I'm
weren't
still
good
waiting for
enough to
Virgil Green to
utilize.
get involved in the passing game. Like Virgil Green, this might be his year.
I have to say, the funniest meme I saw all weekend was the Bears. You know that meme where the guy's walking with his girl and he's like checking out another girl,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
said the Bears GM name was the guy, and then both girls were tight ends. Oh, that I was just laughing so hard at
Ignoring
that.
tight ends to look at tight ends. Yeah,
But
that was pretty good.
that was pretty good.
So yeah, I think Hireman of all the like rando tight ends, I think Hireman is probably the safest, but also
In danger, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like he has to really flash. Like it's time for him to step up. I don't think Jake Butt.
Before Noah
Fant
Fant came on late in the season, he was the most reliable tight end. He had some injury issues early in his career, but he's been pretty steady the last couple.
I think Hireman is pretty safe. this year. What I don't remember his contract. He signed an extension, so what he has probably 1 or 2 years left. They're going to want to have several on the roster, but beyond, it's going to be him and Vinette and Austin Fort beyond Fant, and then Ojemudia probably.
You know who's
Okuwabanam.
Okuwabanam. You're just saying that just because you can.
I know. I just want to say Okuwabanam.
Okuwabanam.
See, look, you guys are saying it now too.
You
just you guys, you mean you Jess.
Okuwabanam.
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 See, I told you I wasn't going to do this live.
You don't pronounce every letter.
No, it's well, and if you're not going to pronounce every letter, what about the linebacker out of Wake Forest,
Justin Strand?
Strand. See, but there's a.
That's like a Brett Favre kind of.
I would
name.
like to buy a vowel, please.
Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So let's shift from the tight end room, and we'll go to the wide receiver room. Who on the wide receiver front is going to be on the outside looking in?
Anybody not named Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler.
Well,
I mean, at that point, it's an open competition. Yeah.
So we'll have like 4 or 5 guys competing for 2 more spots. They'll have a lot of.
I think they're going to keep 6.
How many did we carry last year? We'll carry at least 5.
I think Pat Shurmur historically has always kept 6. So, that leaves room for, I think, Tim Patrick.
Tim Patrick, I think, will stay.
Hamilton.
You think? Well, can we have 2 Penn State wide receivers at the same time?
I think having a guy that can be depth is important for a similar role. So I think he would be safe, and I think they're going to want somebody who can be a returner, whether that's Tyrell Cleveland, the 7th round pick out of Florida.
Tyree?
Tyrle. I don't know how to pronounce that. Tyrell? Maybe it's Tyrell.
Tyree. Well, what I'm looking at here is Tyree.
Maybe we have a typo.
We might be looking at a typo.
We are looking at typo.
What we don't know with this draft class, that's what's so amazing about it. No one can
Thank God it's Tyree's easier to say than Trile. I don't know. It was butchered.
Could we review Justin Strand's name just to make sure there's not a missing letter?
No, there's not. He's good.
They filled out his birth certificate information, and the lady looked at it and was like, "Are you sure?" Final answer.
It's been like this every training camp. The wide receivers, we have a couple that
there we go.
That are the bottom of the list from last year. We added a couple. We always add several from the later rounds going into training camp. So it'll be the guys who are the most reliable through training camp. Catching the ball.
That's
and
the thing.
Offense too.
Juwan Renfrey, the wide receiver coach apparently pounded the table for him last year. Is he safe this year? I'm not so sure about that.
No, he's not. But just because he pounded the table for him last year, that was because he really liked him. He thought he had potential, and we didn't have quite the depth that we do. We kind of did. But
are you forgetting that he caught the game-winning touchdown in the Hall of Fame game last year?
With all of our backups?
I'll tell you, I will say one thing. On day 3, the one player that has me most intrigued, and mostly when I picture this formation, it's a goal, your first, 3rd and goal, whatever, 2nd goal at the 2 or 3 yard line. You need a 6th offensive lineman, and you got Melvin Gordon in the backfield. And the 6th offensive lineman that comes in is Natane Laurie. Pronunciation expert.
We didn't decide. We didn't know.
Muti or Mutai?
Natane. Anyway, he did 44 reps at 225 at the combine, most since 2012. I weigh 180. He could probably bench me 100 times and not even be a little bit tired. You put him as the 6th offensive lineman in there. How do you not score? Hey, I'm all about scoring touchdowns. But you put him in as the 6th offensive lineman, and you just let him push guys out of the way, and Melvin Gordon trots right in. I mean, I'm seeing that a lot, especially in the goal line situations. He could be a huge impact in year 1.
Yeah, no pun intended.
So I that's the guy I'm most excited about on day two. But I think
Day 3.
day three, you're right. I've had one too many glasses of wine apparently.
No, it's good. It's good for
I'm on
you.
my first, but
You're on lockdown. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
What about the guy from North Dakota State?
I
Um,
Chris Hart
former
was
former
huge on that
MHR
guy.
staff member is
Nailed it.
just elated that this guy's on the team too. So you
He
can never
actually
have too many
tweeted.
edge rushers.
He tweeted late in the seventh round saying, "Look for the Broncos to check out Derek Tezuka from North Dakota State," and then they draft him. I'm like, this guy. He called out two. Who was the
Yeah.
other guy he
He
called
also
out?
got Cleveland, I think.
Yeah.
He was like back to back. Yeah.
Yeah, he was crazy.
It was yeah.
Shout out to you, Christopher Hart. Good
Yeah,
job.
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, anybody in the late round, you're just hoping that there's something. So, Justin Strand, just remember Danny Trevathan was a late round pick, and he's had a fine career in the NFL. So you just hope for that situation, a Malik Jackson, a Danny Trevathan, somebody's going to come in and actually earn a starting role at some point and be a big time producer. So, and Vic Fangio kind of knows his stuff, so hopefully that pays dividends down the road. The one part I'm interested in is the undrafted signings, and so far nothing's official. I don't think anything's been officially announced, but there's been I think 7 players that have been reported signed by the Broncos. Um, I think the biggest name on that list that you might want to remember is another one that I'm going to try to pronounce here. Sang Bassi, a cornerback out of Wake Forest. Um, he looks like a guy that could play inside, maybe Bryce Callahan's position if he can't play again this year.
No, he's coming back. It's gonna
I
happen
hope
this
so.
year.
We need him, but
He's gonna get healthy. It's gonna be amazing.
the Broncos are great at finding undrafted gems. So out of the people they signed, I think he's a good one. Maybe Douglas Coleman, a safety, could be a role that's filled on special teams. But one guy that we should watch for is Hunter Watts, tackle 6'8", 325 out of Central Arkansas. With Mike Munchak involved in that, that's a name we might want to remember a couple years down the road, because undrafted free agency rarely come out and start like a Chris Harris Jr. in his rookie year. But
Or Philip Lindsay.
I'm kind of excited about
or
Riley
Philip Lindsay,
Neal,
sorry.
the quarterback out of Vanderbilt, because what better way to wash the Jay Cutler disgustingness out of your mouth just 10 years later with a new Vanderbilt quarterback. I was telling my wife, she's like, "Oh, how's Vanderbilt doing?" I'm like, "Vanderbilt's not drafting anybody." And I just joking around with her, and then at the end, I was like, "Oh, we just signed a quarterback from Vanderbilt." So we got our camp arm there.
To compete with Brett Rippon, actually.
Yeah, and
I like
and
Brett
hopefully
Rippon.
we will skirt the trend over the last few years, and he will not be our starting quarterback. No promises.
I'll stick with the Boise State guy, my
Yeah.
alma mater.
Well, and we also got
I
a
didn't go
Manning.
to Boise
Did you
State.
guys see? We got a Manning brother,
We did?
Zamari Manning. Yeah, he's a
Oh,
wide receiver out of Tarleton State.
Hey, he followed MHR today, so he's already
Did he?
he's already a fan favorite for me.
Okay. All right. I wasn't aware that Tarleton was a state, but you learn something new every day.
That's a good point. I want to find out, where is Tarleton State. Did anybody look that up before the show?
You know me and my show prep. It's very extensive.
So Tarleton State, apparently it's a state inside of Texas. So Texas isn't
well, that makes
contiguous.
sense. Texas is so big; they need to have their own states inside.
I believe it's a republic, is it not?
Tarleton State.
Wow. All right.
Stephenville,
Moment of
Texas.
silence for Tarleton State. Good
Yep.
job, guys. You got
Don't know
some-
where to go from there, but
Finally
so
in the NFL.
mystery question should be what their mascot is. Does anyone know?
Yeah, right. Like or
I'm gonna say the Tigers. Tarleton State Tigers sounds like a good one.
right.
I didn't Google that beforehand, so I'm trying to find out
All right,
right
well,
now.
let's find out what it is. I mean, we owe it to the and Lori, you can sing their fight song.
It's the
Of
Texan
course.
Rider.
See, you knew that.
I know.
There's no way you guessed that.
No, I just Googled it.
I know.
Of course I didn't guess that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
How could you guess that?
I don't know. I'm just like,
That's not
Because I don't even know what a Texan Rider is. Like, come on.
I just
now.
picture Chuck Norris riding a horse. That's all I need to know.
That's probably what it is. I'm sure it is.
Oh, rider, like horse rider. I thought you meant like writer, like Ernest Hemingway. Because
That makes sense.
Texans are known for their literary.
For their writing.
Yeah.
Good one.
Oh,
Jess.
Texans! I tell you. All right. Well, now that I've driven away most of our audience with terrible jokes, much like that, I think we're done. Are we done? Is that it? Should we have a mystery
done.
question?
Yeah, we could do a mystery question.
I just asked the mystery question. You guys failed. I had to answer it myself. with Google.
Oh, wow. All right, well, I'll do one then. What's the mascot for Western Michigan? Levante Bellamy is a new running back in Denver. So
Western Michigan, the Pistons.
It's got to be like the Western Michigan
Wildcats.
Wolves.
Oh,
I was gonna
Wildcats.
be close.
Oh no, I was
said-
guessing.
Oh.
I don't even know. I'm googling right now.
We're just not going to Google
Ooh,
it. And...
It's
No.
Buster Bronco. Buster
Oh,
appears to be an animal of some sort.
I'm
horse?
Maybe a cat. I mean, if that's a horse, I guess it is a horse. They need to redesign their mascot because that looks more like a cow. I don't know. Their mascot is terrible.
Are you sure you're not looking at the Broncos wire mascot? Because that kind of looks a little like.
Oh, it's a moose.
Oh, it's a moose. Okay, I'm sorry.
Is it really a moose? What?
I bet it is. It looks like a moose.
I mean, I saw their actual logo in the background, and it's definitely a horse. So that's their version. That's their mascot is a horse.
Oh yeah, I guess it is.
But it's like the most like they took the worst mock-up of the Broncos logo in the 60s and then said, how can we make this look like worse than
Like it's not
than a horse?
cartoonish enough. We need to make it.
Oh, they have a Bronco that rides in too. I like Western Michigan now. I'm a fan.
Okay.
All right, Bellamy's gonna make the roster.
What conference?
He will make the roster.
Is that SEC?
No.
No.
Western Michigan. Yes,
Hey, they let Vanderbilt in. You never know.
that's true. That's true. It's going down.
All right. Well,
All right, let's wrap it up here. This has been a terrific post 2020 draft pandemic edition. I'm really happy with the draft, guys. I really think we did well. I think the draft was much better than this show. So for
I don't know about
Tim
that.
Lynch and
I
Lori
did enjoy.
Oh, go ahead.
We should talk about the.
Oh, wait. Are we done? Are we not done? Go ahead. What are we going to
I
talk
was
about?
gonna say just the TV broadcast of the draft. It was better than I thought it would be, but it definitely provided some hilarious moments of watching these people at home
We
and watching the network.
oh,
We should. Yes.
I have one thing to say.
Go ahead.
I thought about this earlier this morning, but the whole internet exploded when Bill Belichick's dog made the second round pick for them.
Yeah.
Because they cut to the room and his dog is sitting on the chair staring at his computer screen. And I was just
good.
thinking,
That was smart of Belichick.
it was smart, but it also it also proves that maybe his dog has made all of the selections because the Patriots have only drafted 3 Pro Bowlers in the last 10 years. And
That's their patsy for all their videotaping scandals. Which, by the way, they still have one that has yet to be adjudicated. Like, it's why haven't we found out what they're going to get in trouble for?
3 Pro Bowlers, but 6 championships. Like, come on,
That's
you're
Tom
not gonna
Brady
win that
though.
argument.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
Tom Brady.
exactly.
He doesn't have Brady anymore. I can't wait for the Patriots to be 4-12 every year, and for Bill
Tim's
Belichick to be
I
joking.
fired.
honestly can't wait for Tom Brady to suck and the Bucks to suck and Patriots to still
His
be fine, and we can prove that it's Belichick
no,
instead
no,
of
no.
Brady.
Have them both fail, so then they realize we should have stayed together.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
Well, the Beatles broke up, and they were never as good as the sum of their parts.
Exactly.
So,
I want Tom Brady's last pass to be a pick six, and I want Bill Belichick to be fired after 3, 4-12, 2-14, and 1-15 seasons.
Okay, so let's put the Patriot haterade away, and let's just say, okay, so Lori, aside from the Bill Belichick dog thing, which I somehow missed that. I think that's hilarious. What is your highlight from the draft?
Oh, for sure, Mike Vrabel. I mean, that was unbelievable.
That was
He's like
odd.
spit, right? He spit like a giant wad of.
He spits into his cup, and then he's got his two of his kids
What about
flanking him, just standing there looking, stupid, honestly, like just staring ahead, not looking at the camera, not noticing that.
wasn't
And
one in
one
the
of them was in
background pooping?
No,
Pooping?
well, it
Maybe.
kind of. If you, I think
Nobody
that if
knows.
Well, I mean, Mike said clearly he was just in a back room. It's just the way he was sitting and leaning over, looking at his
And
phone.
he had really
that
short
kinda-
shorts on.
Yeah.
So it looked like he. But
Well, there was also like Adam Gase completely ignoring his kids. His kids are like, yeah, like, and he's just like, I don't even.
Well,
you.
Adam Gase, man.
I know.
What an awkward person in general.
Yeah, he's a very strange guy.
And
And then
then-
there was who was it that is it Tampa? No, who was it that was like they cut to him and then he had like his hands wrapped around like his kid's neck and then it like froze and it was like really like super like it was like a hostage video. Did you see that? I can't remember. I can't remember who it was. It's
sure wasn't Vrabel again.
It wasn't Vrabel.
Probably. Like, but the kid, he had a child, an adult child, like a
in a onesie,
older teen, like a 19 or 18-year-old in a Frozen costume.
Well, that's good.
And then
Samuel
Bill
L.
O'Brien freaking out. Did you see Bill O'Brien just
Bill
go
O'Brien.
nuclear?
Okay. I'm gonna look it up because this was.
He actually they read his lips because it obviously didn't show the sound, but it was right after a trade fell through and they drafted some reach, and he said, "You effing call him. It's your effing pick," and he's just screaming at somebody off camera, and it's just like this guy's insane. And his son is just sitting there like,
is right there, and he's
"This
like,
happens all the time. I don't even care."
And he has a son, a special needs son, who may not have been in that picture, but was in the picture the day before, which I thought was very sweet that he had him there and he had a sign that said, "Thanks to our first responders." I had a much better view of Bill O'Brien until the next day when you showed the meltdown.
Just like freaking out. Yeah.
And then of course, Cliff guy, Kingsbury
yeah,
from Arizona, who's looking like an ad from some upscale clothing commercial.
No, did you see whoever responded or tweeted it out? I forgot. Because someone had said something about, what do you think Cliff Kingsbury does for a living? And then someone responded or retweeted, sell cocaine, because that's exactly what it looks like. It definitely looks like.
I can't find it. You look online for choking NFL draft and it like brings up like all sorts of it screws up the algorithm.
I mean, I'm not gonna look for it now.
But yes, what happened was he like they cut to him and like he like had his hands around this kid's neck and then it like froze and it was like and it was that was too much. There was also
my favorite tweet from the whole thing was showing the tweet of Cliff Kingsbury and then the one of Mike Vrabel back to back and showing quarantine, what you thought your life would be like in quarantine versus what your life is like in quarantine.
Right.
Or
well, Jerry Jones is on his yacht. Like,
for me, it would be quarantine single, quarantine with kids.
Yeah. Exactly. It was perfect. It was a good.
They had one of those with Roger Goodell too. There were like a series of 4 images, and it was like day 0, day 10, day 20, and then day question mark, and it just shows him
I
through,
know.
you
He's in a
know,
t-shirt.
round 1, and then by the end he's round 7, just
He's like curled up in his chair. Like, I
yeah.
mean, to be honest, that
I
chair
mean,
looks incredibly comfortable. I
my
would probably be in the chair too.
I look day question mark anymore, so I've given up on the whole thing. I need a haircut. I need a
I
shave.
But overall, I thought they did a pretty good job of making it a decent broadcast when you have to have everybody by themselves all around the country. I did think they needed to work on the whole showing the celebration at the home of the athletes because it was always delayed. And some of those families, they're like, woo.
Oh, yeah, they cut to one family and like they're letting the dog in. Like
Yeah. They cut to the family, and the family, because they cut to him during probably a different part of the process in a way. So they're calling their friends and family members to let them know, so and so just got drafted to this team. So they're all on their individual phones. Like they're not celebrating the way you do when they're all in the green room and they hug each other and then they get up and he goes out. Like it was
that was another
definitely
draft moment.
awkward.
I can't remember what player it was, but there was a player who is on the phone with the team, and like that's when his lady like reaches over and grabs his cell phone, his like personal cell phone, and like starts to like look through it, and he like grabbed it back from her and was like, no. I don't remember who it was, but it was an early draft pick, and it was like, whoa, well, that was an interesting moment. Like you get to kind of see, like, kind of, the inner workings. It's pretty fun. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a fun draft. I mean, it was a little awkward having Roger Goodell. It's just like talking to his TV, like, "Come on, everybody! Like, come on! You're not gonna boo me!" Like, that was a little weird. And then also when they couldn't get enough fans to populate the
yeah, but that was awesome.
You're talking about the
Yeah,
Chargers?
The Chargers.
And it happened with the Chiefs too. I noticed that as well. So, Super Bowl champion Chiefs, excuse me.
We don't have to refer.
I actually thought Goodell came off as human, which helps his image.
I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, helped his image a little bit. Still boo him next year.
But that was kind of the cool part, was like that was part of the whole thing. The more you booed, the more money they raised for the draftathon. So they built it in and made it, part of the thing, and he played along. I thought it was great.
I just feel like we play along too. As a fans, we don't really. I don't know. I just feel like we play along too. Even if you hate him or you don't really care, you still boo, is what I'm trying to say.
But I know.
That's just part of the whole. That's part of the whole thing.
But that's okay. I
Yeah.
mean, that makes it actually, to me, palatable, because it's all sort of planned and expected, and it's almost more of a joke than actual angst over the commissioner.
Well,
that's cool.
That's it, guys.
All right, now you can close the show. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I'm glad you brought it up, because there were so many weird moments, and when I find out who that was,
Mic off.
Anyways,
Mic on.
Tim can silently sneeze. It's kind of an amazing feat.
I muted. It's that time of the year. It's sneezing season up here, so.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you have been watching and listening to Something Broncos with Tim Lynch and Lori Latimer-Volkman. We are all contributors to MileHighReport.com. We are your one-stop shop for news, information, stats, and draft information, and
name pronunciation,
because clearly we have it down. And if you and if you are looking to find out if you are looking to find out which undrafted free agents the Denver Broncos have found.
Ojemudia.
There you go. But no, he was drafted. We covered that already. We are a destination for that as well, local Denver media included. So thank you for listening and watching. And hopefully we can watch the Denver Broncos here in a few months. That'll be pretty exciting.
And scene.
4 looks into the nickel of San Francisco in the secondary. Hey, somebody has run out on the field. Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Here comes the blue coat,
Oh,
Kevin.
they got him.
Here
They're
comes the
coming
blue
from the
coats.
left. Oh, and they tackle him at the 40-yard line. Oh, that was the most exciting thing to happen tonight.
I tell you what, that was a great call on your part. That was a great call. All right, I'm ready for the last 11:31 now, Kevin. Let's go.
Look at the police. They've surrounded this man like he is, like he's just robbed a bank.
I tell you what, he got a whole lap in before
yes.
they got him. I mean, that was pretty good. I expected him to go down much sooner.
Yeah. But I hope it was worth it, my friend, because you've got a night in the clink coming up.